let's speak about the juicy information that came out of yesterday's interview with the CEO of Lordstown Motors, Steve Burns. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. You already know that. I got the cloth tonight to prove it. Yesterday I had the pleasure of interviewing Steve Burns, a man I have so much respect for. He's the founder and former CEO of Workhorse. He's the founder and current CEO of Lordstown Motors. I mean, the world of respect for this man. And I just want to expand and give my thoughts on a lot of the information that came out in that interview, because obviously it was my job to just ask questions and get information. I didn't want to cut him off too much or give my insights too much. So I want to expand on some of the incredibly juicy information that came out of that video. It was so much good stuff. And when I did the interviews with Steve Schrader, the CFO of Workhorse, loads of people asked me to do this. There was also loads of people who made videos reacting to my videos. So I want to make sure that I play my part and make my video explaining my thoughts behind the whole situation. Right off the bat though, I mean, if you watch the interview, everything looks amazing. Workhorse and Lordstown Motors, okay? The two companies I have more confidence in than anybody else in regards to growth. As I said, the two biggest positions in my portfolio by far. Nothing has come out since that has excited me anywhere near as much as either of these companies, or that I've been willing to put in even half as much money into than I did into either of these companies. But a lot of juicy info. I want to give you guys my thoughts. So right before we do that, can I please ask you to help your boy out? Hit that juicy like button, support the channel, I really would appreciate you. If you're new around here, what are you waiting for, my friend? Hit that juicy red subscribe button and join the family. And drop me a comment down below, let me know what you think about Lordstown Motors. If you're involved, your cost basis, let me know. Also, I usually speak about this at the end of the video, but I want to let you all know about my private Discord. If you hit the first link in my description and become a Patreon, you will get access to that Discord, and in there you will see my buy and sell alerts, you'll see ticker symbols that I'm watching, we have specific chats on specific companies, and I actually let my patrons help me decide some of the questions I asked in yesterday's interview. So if you'd like to be included in that in future videos, hit that first link and become a patron today. Anyway guys, into the video. So here is the video. It's 30 minutes of pure juicy information. Very good response. That's definitely one of our most liked videos, and it's not even up 24 hours as of recording this, so thank you guys for the amazing support. If you jump into the description, you will see I asked a whole lot of juicy questions. Now I don't want to just play this video and react to it. The first thing I want to speak about, okay, that's incredibly important, is the pre-orders, because now we have a better understanding of where the pre-orders are coming from and who they are coming from than we did before. So if we go over to Lordstown Motors Twitter page, okay, oh, there's me, but if we scroll down a little bit further, I believe it was September 8th, if my brain works. Yes, the Lordstown Endurance has reached over $2 billion in pre-order revenue. So what can we take away from that? Well, if we go to the investor presentation, which came out August 3rd, okay, back then we knew we had about $1.4 billion of existing pre-orders. We also knew that we had 27,000 pre-orders. So we can assume that right now we're in the realms of 40,000 pre-orders, which is insane, people. Now the thing that has to be remembered about pre-orders, and we spoke about this in yesterday's interview, is that that's all they are. They're pre-orders, they can be cancelled. But to see that growth, a 50% growth in the span of 5 weeks on pre-orders, I mean, come on, you would be ridiculous to argue the fact that, you know, some of these aren't going to be fulfilled, and in my opinion a large percentage of these will be fulfilled. So we can assume that we have at least 40,000 pre-orders right now, in my opinion. We have more pre-orders, okay, than Lordstown Motors planned on having delivered by the end of 2022. Guys, before we even knew this, I called it out in a video a couple of weeks ago. I said I wouldn't be surprised if we actually had closer to 40,000 pre-orders than 27,000. I got quite lucky, but, you know, my head was in the right place. At the rate we're growing at, okay, considering 27,000 of those pre-orders were before we even had a prototype, I genuinely believe by the end of the year we could be looking at 60 to 80,000 plus pre-orders quite easily. A lot of them will be coming from fleets, okay? This isn't your everyday person. It's not me putting a pre-order in for $100 thinking, you know what, if I don't buy it, it's $100, I don't really care. The majority of these are from fleets, okay? That's important to remember. And the average order size was 300 trucks. So you know what I mean? It's like you don't put a pre-order in for 300 plus trucks with zero intention of taking those trucks, in my opinion. That's why I do believe the conversion rate will actually be quite high. In my opinion, these numbers here are obsolete, okay? I don't know if the team from Lorstown are going to agree with me or not. I think production targets will be way higher the next time we get an update. Given the pre-orders we're seeing, given the factory we have that I'm going to get into, given the demand, I mean, these numbers, I think we're going to be higher, which will be very good. It will represent much more of the market share, and it all comes back to being the first to market. And guys, when we speak about ordering from fleets, I saw a few people confused about this. Like, a fleet can be anyone. It could be government, it could be the police. It could be a major retail chain who wants, to have your vehicles all over the country. It could be something as small as, a local florist. A fleet doesn't necessarily have to be a multi-billion-dollar company, okay? A lot of companies will have fleets, but we do know for a fact we are targeting fleets. This is something I also made quite clear in the interview we did with Steve. Of course, there will be some individuals like me who will buy one, perfectly acceptable, but it is built, designed and marketed at fleets predominantly, which I think is a good thing. It may mean that we need to put some more money into advertising and things of the likes down the line, but I really do think it's a good market to chase. Now obviously when we speak about these trucks, okay, everybody's going to think about Tesla and the Cybertruck. Tesla's target audience is you or me. It is the everyday person. Yes, it is as a pickup truck. It could be used for work purposes, but it's being targeted at the everyday person. Nikola's a joke, okay? I couldn't care less about Nikola. If they sell one truck, I'll be surprised. I could probably sell more trucks. Ford and GM, I think we have absolutely zero to worry about here. In my opinion, Lorstown almost guaranteed is going to have the first to market advantage. That's what put Tesla so far ahead in regards to, the cars that they have on the roads right now. They got to production quicker. They had more vehicles on the road. They got more feedback and data every single day. And that's what's got them in this technological advantage that they're in right now. You always hear me and other people on YouTube say, oh, Tesla's so technologically advanced. It's because they've been on the road for years and years before their major competitors. Steve said that's what Lordstown wants to do with these trucks, and that is massive. If you can get a decent advantage over the competition, if you can get a few months, if not a year or so ahead of the competition, boom, we could be looking at the Tesla of pickup trucks, and I don't say that lightly. Next two things I want to say that came up, okay? 250 miles per charge. Let's remember, we are targeting fleets predominantly, okay? This isn't a car. It doesn't need a 400 mile range. Most of these fleets, Steve explained, wouldn't drive any more than 75 miles on a day. That 250 miles per charge is loads. Not to mention that they get 75 miles per gallon essentially, where your typical pickup truck gets 15. It's literally 500% better, 500% more efficient, more cost effective. That's something else that we spoke about, These fleet managers, they wouldn't go electric if it was a 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50% more efficient vehicle. But when it's 500% more efficient, you have to take it seriously. It's essentially not going to be an option for fleet managers to not consider this vehicle right in front of you. This beautiful plant, okay? We spoke about this a lot because I was really interested, because we all know it's a massive plant, but what does that even mean? I mean, what's the point in having such a massive plant if you're not going to have, the production capacity, if you're not going to have the team, etc, etc? Is it just a waste of money? Is it going to cost more to run than not? Oh my days, this was probably the juiciest pieces of information that we got out of the interview. Plant size 6.2 million square feet. Steve told us that's about 108 football pitches laid out on the roof. That's a lot of space, guys. Estimated replacement value of this plant, $3 billion. That is one juicy asset. So the estimated annual vehicle capacity is at about 600,000 vehicles. In the interview we spoke about, when it was producing 400,000 plus. We know Lordstown's nowhere near that. Absolutely nowhere near that. Not that they won't be one day, but right now they're not. We also spoke about reconfiguring the plant. Cost of about 120 million. From what we gathered in that interview, reconfiguring is well underway. So what I was able to gather from the interview in regards to reconfiguration, the biggest thing is literally just setting up the robots to do what they have to do. So there's robots that might do one thing, another robot might do another thing. Obviously, these are different vehicles that are being configured than what the robots were primed to do beforehand. So all of that has to be redone, rewired, whatever it is. I don't know how the robots work, but essentially all that's under configuration. They haven't had to buy a new robot. There's over 2,000 robots in the plant. So from what we can gather, the plant is essentially done. It's sorted. It's nearly 100% ready, which is absolutely incredible to say. I can't overstate that enough. So guys, let's all keep in mind, this company is not publicly traded yet, okay? We're all still investing in Diamond Peak Holdings, the SPAC. So the plant here itself, okay? The replacement value is at about $3 billion in itself. We know that we have about $2 billion worth of pre-orders. And I expect that to be above $3 billion at least by the end of the year. So in those two things alone, we're looking at $6 billion. Pro forma implied equity value of the combined company is approximately $1.6 billion. So even after this run up where we've gone on now, even once the merger goes through, I still think we are disgustingly undervalued. I mean, this disgustingly undervalued. Now, let's just keep in mind that, right now we're a $25 to $26 company. We were up as high as pretty much $30 on the dot. It was a SPAC like everybody else. It was $10. It opened the first day pretty much at $12. It's already had this incredible run. But the catalyst that is the merger hasn't happened yet. All we have right now is pre-orders. That's all we have. We have a lot of pre-orders, and I mean a lot of pre-orders, but the catalysts haven't even begun to happen. Do you see what I'm trying to get at now? Just look at the plant and just look at the pre-orders we have already before we are even a publicly traded company. It's disgusting. Do not underestimate the power of this plant. Pretty much the third biggest plant in the United States of America for a company that is not producing vehicles yet, okay? They are set up so well for so long. I'm going to keep bringing up the importance of this, the Lordstown Motors hub motors, 4 moving parts as opposed to thousands and thousands in your standard vehicle. No drivetrain components. Each wheel is individually controlled. It's amazing. I mean, it is such good technology. This is the kind of groundbreaking stuff that you expect to see from Tesla that has put them so far ahead. Again, I never like saying, is this the next Tesla? Because there's never going to be a next Tesla. Tesla is who they are. Nobody's going to do what Tesla's done. But could this be the equivalent of, you know, an early stage Tesla in the pickup truck world? And what I mean by that is, could this be a company with absolutely cutting edge technology who is primed to grow extremely quickly? It could be. Now, until that interview, all anybody knew about was this right here, this particular pickup truck. Just watch this little clip from the interview quickly.
The Endurance is the full size, you know, kind of the most popular configuration of pickup trucks.
Yeah.
But we will do all configurations of pickup trucks and a nice SUV shortly.
So essentially, it's confirmed, okay? It's not just going to be this pickup truck. We're going to work on different models of pickup trucks and also an SUV. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That again is something very important. You need to stay on top of the game. You need to stay competitive. You need to have more products coming down the line. You need an excitement factor. That's what these guys have. So right now, they are laser focused on this pickup truck. And for very good reason. I think that is the best thing that they could possibly do. As an investor, that fills me with confidence. This is the most important thing that potentially will ever happen to this company. They need to be laser focused. They need to be first to market to avail of all the advantages we spoke about earlier on in today's video. But we also need to be looking forward and considering penetrating other markets. Now the next thing, guys, speaking about this plant yet again, watch this very short extract from the interview. Would you guys ever want to rent out part of the factory? Because I understand it can't really be that simple either, because as you just said, robots do certain things. You know what I mean? It's not one robot fits all. I wonder, is that a thought that's ever crossed just as another revenue stream?
Yeah, you know, early on it was, but given the pace of pre-orders, we're going to use it all.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, the goal really is to have this humming more than it ever was on its best day when GM had it.
As much as I wholeheartedly believe in this company and love it to pieces, okay, I did not expect that. I really thought that they would be renting out at least some sort of capacity of this massive plant. I mean, considering that we're not producing vehicles yet, and even by the time 2024 rolls around, we'd probably be, you know, only using potentially, from what we knew beforehand, a fifth of the plant. I thought we would be renting it out, but he confirmed to us they want to use the whole plant. I mean, guys, in itself, if you are using the whole plant to produce one vehicle, and this is the third biggest plant in the United States, that in itself should not even need to be explained. If you can run at that sort of capacity continually, that's insane. Absolutely insane. He said, given the pace of pre-orders, we're going to use it all. I mean, what? They want this plant to be doing even better than when GM was using it. The next thing that was just something that piqued my interest, I asked him if he still speaks with Workhorse, because obviously, you know, he's the founder, the former CEO. I just wanted to know if they still chat. Obviously, Workhorse has a percentage of Lordstown Motors. They sold them the rights to the technology, etc. And they do. They still speak an awful lot, which is very, very nice to see. I mean, my two favorite companies in the world, both founded by the same man. I'm happy that they're still, you know, chatting very regularly. One more extract that I want to show you guys from the video, though, that is really, and I mean really and truly exciting.
I speak to the CEO of Workhorse all the time.
Yeah.
We license some stuff from them.
Yeah.
They own 10% of us.
Yeah.
We have a very able-bodied factory. If they get to things where they need volume,
Yeah.
you know, if they get big
Yeah.
orders, they get the post office,
Yeah.
you know, I think we're going to be a great strategic asset for them.
So after me and Steve spoke in detail, okay, about the fact that, you know, Lordstown wants to use this factory for themselves at full capacity. They don't want to let anybody else use this amazing factory. They want to keep it all for themselves. He then goes on to say afterwards, without me even asking, that, you know, if Workhorse is to come into a big contract, I think we all know what we're referring to, Lordstown Motors would help Workhorse if necessary. This is something I also spoke about with the CFO of Workhorse, Steve Schrader, in our first interview. I said, you know, I believe they're more than capable of handling this contract and whatever else comes their way by themselves. But at the same time, to have this company, Lordstown Motors, on your side is fantastic. And I just think the fact that he actually hinted at this without me even prompting him shows just how good of a relationship these two companies has, which in my opinion is really important. And it's really nice to see from an investor's point of view. And I just think it genuinely is really sick to see the relationship these two companies still have. You know, I think it's a really nice thing. Now, the last thing we spoke about briefly, okay, I don't want to get too into it, was the cash position. But essentially, I mean, it should go without saying, if you've done even 2 hours of due diligence, we're in a great cash position. No two ways about it, especially with the increase in pre-orders. I know we don't like to depend on pre-orders as such for cash, but I mean, come on, it's going to bring in a lot of money. The reason they are going public through a SPAC is to raise capital. I mean, approximately $675 million of gross proceeds that are expected from the transaction will be used to fund production of the Endurance and its innovative in-wheel electric hub motor design. And the transaction includes a $500 million fully committed PIPE, which actually includes $75 million of investments by General Motors. So this is one of the reasons why companies go public through a SPAC as well, as opposed to doing an IPO sometimes. Funding, you know, fully committed PIPE. These things can be really important for a company like Lordstown Motors at the stage of their life cycle that they are in. But essentially, guys, so much, and I mean so much useful information came out of that interview that, you know, wasn't out there publicly for whatever reason. Now, it's not that there was anything confidential that shouldn't have been out there, but it was just loads of little details that, you know, it's like we had a puzzle and maybe it was a 100-piece puzzle and we had 94 of the pieces, but there was a few little pieces we needed. We got them, and now we have the full picture. One other thing, actually, I forgot to mention earlier, it was hilarious, when we were speaking about the getting first to market and the importance of it, and speaking about how Tesla took a lead because they got the technological advantage because they had the time advantage. Steve said that you can't hire 9 women and expect them to have a baby in 1 month. Some things just take time, people. And I don't think it's going to be any different for this company, and I do think that the first mover advantage is going to be absolutely massive. And after doing this interview, alongside all of the due diligence I've ever done, alongside looking into the major competitors extensively as well, I genuinely believe we will be first to market. And I don't just mean we'll be barely first to market, I think we'll have a massive lead. Steve himself said that we could be lucky enough to have a year or 2 on the competition. If you were to have a year on the competition in this game, that would be absolutely insane. I think even if we get a 3 to 6 month lead on the competition, that's it. I mean, you're ahead. You're 3 to 6 months ahead. It's massive. It's massive, especially when, you know, you think of the other 2 main competitors as potentially being Rivian and Nikola. And again, Nikola doesn't count. The reason I'm not including Tesla is because, again, it's not necessarily targeted towards fleets. Rivian definitely could be. I mean, I don't know if you guys have done much research into Rivian. I know a lot of people don't really because you can't buy them. I have, just because you kind of have to. You have to have a good understanding of Rivian if you're going to speak about EV. I really don't see a world where Lordstown don't beat Rivian. I'll put it like that. Again, a lot of people will say I'm biased, but I really don't. But I suppose at this stage, you know, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of waiting and seeing what happens. I think Lordstown have done everything that they possibly can. Absolutely beautifully, absolutely perfectly. I'm delighted with the company and how they are managing absolutely everything. So they were just the main points I wanted to cover from the interview. Now again, it's 30 minutes long. If you haven't watched it yet, please do, because I didn't even cover half of what we went through. But guys, that is it. That was my thoughts on the interview that came out with this genius of a man, Steve Barnes. If you have any questions, please drop them down below and I will try and answer them for you. And again, if I do end up speaking to Steve or somebody else from the team soon, I'll let you know. But guys, if you have watched until the end of the video, you already know what I'm going to say to you. You, my friend, are a true legend. I hope I was able to give you some value and insight in this video. And I just hope I give you some entertainment value as well. If you did enjoy, could I please ask you to just gently tap that like button if you haven't yet. Drop me a comment down below, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you're new around here. We're trying really hard to get the 50,000 subs as soon as possible, so it would mean a lot to me. And please do go and show some love to Lorstown on Twitter, you know. Go look at that post, go watch the interview I did. It's an amazing company, and big up to Steve for taking the time out of his day. And again, if you do want to know when videos like this are happening, if you want to perhaps, you know, be able to contribute questions to interviews like this that I'll do in the future, click that first link in the description, guys, and become a Patreon. But anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you for the next video. Peace.